Hey everybody, Nicole Sauce here, coming from the Holler Studio. That's right, we're back home, and Nethi and I are going to have a catch-up talk today, but she was running a little late, and I didn't want to mess up my live stream to the Facebooks, so I just decided to go live, and I'll tell you what's been going on here since I got back from the Self-Reliance Festival. The Self-Reliance Festival, of course, was last weekend, Saturday and Sunday. And we had a workshop Friday before, which was a emergency medical training by Refuge Medical. And then we did the Self-Reliance Festival. And Sunday evening, we had a quick little meetup dinner thing for a couple of the speakers. Whoever I knew was still in town, I was like, well, come over and get some food. And then wrapped up. And I hibernated. And Monday, it took me most of the day to get home. I usually go from where I'm staying in Camden over to SOE and just walk the grounds and make sure we haven't forgotten to put something away or left behind something that shouldn't be left behind, because I don't want John Willis and his crew have to deal with some BS that we left behind from the festival, right? So, and Sunday, after all of that, I'm not always seeing everything. So I found that Monday morning is a good time to go over there and look around for stuff. And so we did that and then headed home and got here about 3 or 4 o'clock. So the whole day was done. And then, dinner, early bed, didn't even unload the car that day. I unloaded the minimal amount of stuff that had to be unloaded, totally crashed, hibernated till 8 the next morning. And Tuesday I was ready to go with a Homestead Happenings show, which I was doing instead of my Monday show. And we've got some stuff going on in the holler. One is that the redneck has pneumonia. And so that means that, so before I left, I said, here's what I want to do. I want to trade you animals for like the food and dishes part of what I do. And I'll just keep up on the gardens and plants so that I'm solely responsible for animals for the week, because right now he does lead on animals and then I back him up, and I know how to take care of the animals because I have before, but he's pretty much moving the paddocks around for the sheep and all that stuff. And he was like, yeah, that's a great idea. He said, why? I said, because I need to be responsible for it for at least a week, maybe 2, so that if you ever go down, we're good to go, right? I see Nethi has joined us. And so the universe said, well, you're doing that this week, Nicole. So I've been a little bit like running around doing things I wasn't expecting to do this week, plus recovering. And we've had some crazy stuff go on here, including my coffee delivery, which was supposed to happen Tuesday. It's happening right now. And so I can't help lift the bag. So I'm going to bring Nethi on now. I'm telling you guys, Nethi, I just started on time anyway, because otherwise my Facebook feed was going to go. And I have all sorts of stuff I can share. I was about to tell them about my really weird day yesterday, which ended up with me up on top of a mountain, but they'll hear that story another time. How you doing?
I am good. I think I'm trying to do too many things also, but I just have really been looking forward to catching up with you. And
yeah.
I was like, I just miss talking to my friend.
Yeah. Hey, can you reframe your video so your head's higher up so it doesn't look like I'm talking to a tiny person? It's like you're way down here. Yeah, that's better.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I was trying to clean the lens earlier. I must have left it a little too high.
Yeah. So the purpose of this discussion, guys who have joined us, is that Nethi and I haven't had time to talk because we're both managing multiple businesses and have just a lot going on. And we kind of had a quick phone chat. I'm like, well, we should just do a live stream catch-up talk with everybody. So let's start with Nethi, do you want to stream to your YouTube too?
Sure.
Is there a button in the upper left that says
I just push the stream to your audience button?
Yeah.
What?
Does it let you just choose?
See if it'll...
Yeah.
It's hold on. I gotta
type of thing.
Do a login code and everything.
Oh, you're not logged into StreamYard. Yeah, so this is a new feature that StreamYard just added, Nethi, where instead of
I joined you, right? So
yeah, so everybody, we used to have to log in as each other
okay.
to get our channels on each other's StreamYards, and now StreamYard allows your guests to stream to up to 2 locations. So then anybody's on can stream to multiple
That's
places.
fun.
Isn't that cool? So I just tested it yesterday for the first
I
time
love it.
on. Yeah, isn't it great?
Yeah, I think this is awesome. Okay, let's see.
So Niti, what's the name of your
Did
YouTube
the
channel?
coup.
Is it Farm to
It
Fork?
is Niti the
Niti the pharmacist. So I see Rachel Brown says in the comments she didn't even know that Niti had a YouTube channel. And she does, in fact, have a YouTube channel, Niti the pharmacist. It's Niti, the
Hi,
pharmacist.
Rachel.
Midgard Grove, welcome.
Here, let me-
Anyway, so the purpose of today's chat
Okay, I've
is
punched
for
the thing in, and it's just kind of like
it's thinking about it. Yeah, that I mean, if it goes, it goes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. If you've hit like set it all up. Did you freeze? She froze. I caused her computer to freeze, guys, by trying something new. This is like typically what happens when we do things. Mark Sisk is in the thing. Closes out Homestead channel. That's right. Hello. How's it going out there, guys? Well, so Nithi's joining me today to have a catch-up talk just about what's going on in our life. And I think I just caused her computer to completely freeze. So I'll continue my story about what happened when I got back. Okay, so Tuesday, I got up ready to do my live stream, which is the Homestead Happenings one. And Nithi will be back in a second. And I went to do that and there was no internet here. And it like, I was like, okay, I'll give it half an hour, blah, blah, blah. Meeting with Mama Sauce about what we're going to do today and accomplish. And it didn't come back up. And I said, okay, well, at this point, I'm going to accept that the internet is out. The phone company had a statement the internet was out, and I won't check internet again until 1 p.m. And I didn't. It turned out a main communication line into our area had been severed, and they had to repair that. So we didn't go live on Tuesday for that reason, but they had it back up. So Nisi is back with us. Hello.
Hi.
Did I cause your computer to crash completely?
I obviously, yes, I think that's what pretty much something happened.
Okay. I was like,
here we go.
You were like,
I think we're live on both now. I think it works.
Sweet. Okay, guys, welcome to the catch-up lunch conversation. Are you eating lunch while we talk?
I'm drinking coffee.
I was drinking coffee, but it's like
some hollow roast.
Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Anyway, Neethi. Okay,
Yes,
so guys,
ma'am.
we are streaming both on Neethi's channel and which is Neethi the Pharmacist, and on Living Free in Tennessee. So if you're on the other channel, go to the other channel and definitely give a subscribe, because that's that's just common courtesy in YouTube land. But we're gonna talk about whatever. So we're doing a catch-up lunch conversation. Neither one of us is actually eating lunch while we do this. That's probably because we both mostly eat meat and don't get hungry all that often. So. But boy, when I'm hungry, am I hungry? How about you?
Yes. We feast and fast, I think, right?
Yeah. So Saturday at SRF, I forgot to eat. And at the end of the day, I was like, I forgot to eat and I'm still not hungry. So, it is what it is.
That happens too.
Well, Neethi, what's been going on in your life? What's new? How's the food church going?
We are so busy.
Yeah.
We're really busy, and it's lovely. It's wonderful. There's a bunch of folks that are joining. I think it's interesting. I have a lot of folks that are joining who tried to homestead or who bought land and started to try to do something. And then they decided that they really appreciated the food church.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I see a lot of that going on. My kids are getting bigger, so they're getting more involved with a lot of things. So that's been a lot of fun, and a lot of changes are going on with that. I I don't know. We're growing. I need to find people. I did a job fair yesterday.
Really? What'd you do? What you go somewhere looking for people to hire, or what'd you do?
Yeah, so NC State had a job fair. And I mean, they have these all the time. And I don't know, I tried them about 6 or 7 years ago. And it was really interesting. Like, I don't know, I found a couple of good kids there, but it's really difficult to find them. What I've recognized is the institutions have told all these kids, hey, with this degree, you can earn $10 million or whatever.
Or
And
$100,000?
yeah, I mean, like immediately, just because you have this degree, or because you're enrolled here and you are almost done, you can start working and earning, $50,000 right now. And these kids, like, that's what they 100% expect, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, like, I'm just wondering to myself, like, it's an ag school. So there are a lot of ag people, and obviously there's big ag, there's USDA, there's everybody, farmers
Oh,
there too.
yeah.
And
I think we've got an internet issue for a second. It's almost like the internet's
yeah,
going
I
out
feel
intermittently. Are you back? Nope, she's not back. Do you ever feel like you're like listening to a story and there's about to be a punchline and then the punchline goes away? That's what just happened to us, Niti. But she's definitely got an internet issue happening. It's like the NSA doesn't want us to hear what Niti has to say. There you are. I think you're moving again. Yeah, your internet is giving you fits. Nope. I love how on the live streams, y'all are so patient when this happens because it happens quite a bit. It could be something working in the background on her computer too. Those are the two things that happen. But I know, like mine, sometimes the internet just glitches out, and that is what it is. So she's been looking for people. I can just keep telling y'all the story about coming back here and not having internet Tuesday. So Tuesday, we went 100% all in on like unpacking from SRF and working on getting my kitchen put back together. So in one hand, it was a pain in the neck. And in the other hand, it was like kind of a boon for me because the kitchen is now functional as of today. There's more to be done in it, but I have a sink. I have an island, a temporary island with a sink in it with water that has been sealed and it has cured for 24 hours. And I can now, apparently Evan wants us to do live stream over ham radio. I can now do dishes and cook in my kitchen, which is super exciting. And that's because I had no internet Tuesday. So I was like, well, I guess I'll work on this. So you went to the job fair and the kids had unrealistic expectations about income. And then what happened? Oh, she's still not there.
yeah, so
Yes.
I mean,
yeah.
Jeez.
No, we're just on now like a 7-second delay. You go for it.
Oh, okay. Stop streaming to my audience because I wonder if that was messing it up. Like, I don't know.
Could have been.
Is it fine?
Yeah, just go.
Is it working?
At this moment,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, guys. I really I haven't really had any internet problems, so it's really weird. And so I apologize. The only thing I was doing different was that when I pushed that button.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Okay, back to I was at the
job fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
They wanted too much money. So what'd you do?
Well, I was just asking them if they were paying attention to what's going on, with all the centralized systems, and if they were paying attention. And a couple of the kids actually are aware of it, and they were like, "We know we're being lied to." Like, it was kind of incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the conversations I was able to have with them this year, which I have not been able to have those with them, I think, in the past, like They said, yeah, we see what's going on. And I said, well, I decided that I'm going to launch a summer stewardship program because it gives us an opportunity to get to know the kids. It gives them an opportunity to, know what we do. And then, there's less disappointment for everybody all the way around. And, we each just get to know each other. And there's always something that these kids bring that is, a gift. And it's cool for them to be immersed here and learn what we're doing too. So, I mean, I feel like that's a fair exchange. So I decided, okay, I really should just try this. And then at the end of the summer, if we want to, offer them like a year apprenticeship, then we get to go into that. Then maybe they want to actually do this and work with us longer because we would like to have some people, stick around.
Yeah.
I just figure that way it's a little more incremental. Neither one of us are under a whole lot of pressure,
And they're not like, minimum wage, what are you talking about?
I mean, well, I do offer a little bit better than minimum wage, but besides that, they get other work perks here because we feed them.
Yeah. Is the food good at the food church?
It's all our farm fresh stuff. I don't buy it from the store. So
yeah.
we're
so we just had somebody come in here, Niti, who does something similar but without membership, and I think they should add membership, but that's their business. But they came into our area and started reaching out to all the local farms to provide food for sale, and it's called the Farmer's Storehouse. And they're, they listen to Catherine Austin Fitz, I think, a lot, and they're mostly what you can buy there is they have some meat, they have dairy, local, and cheeses and stuff like that, but most of the store is filled with like grains, and they're raising money for a grain mill. So so I go there and I buy locally made hunks of cheese, which are really good. And I like what they're doing. They pretty much have they go check out the farms like you do, right? That they work with. And they have standards of how they want the food handled in order to be there. So the community response to that in our area has been huge. Like, people are stoked. A mutual friend of ours is providing eggs to them, who you probably can think who that might be. Very enthusiastic female.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know who that is.
Yeah, I was like, I see the name of the farm is your last name. Is that you? And she said, yeah.
Cool.
But it's really cool. And he's doing a bunch of training classes too, just, on whatever. Permaculture, planning, all sorts of stuff. So to me, that is a market indication that people are eager to shop at places where they know they are tapping into the actual local network. And I was there one day when the owner wasn't there because I was having a very long drive home and it was on my way. I was like, I'll stop in and see if he's there. And he wasn't. And I was kind of just, taking a little break from driving because I've been driving for a bunch of hours, checking it out, choosing my cheese because I like cheese. And I'm watching people shop, and some people are just so thankful that it exists, right? I was also hoping there were ferments there, and there were not that day. And then I watched some other people coming in kind of freaking out about the meat prices because lamb, I don't know how much per pound their lamb is, but I know I sell it for $10 to $12 a pound. And that's a super reasonable price for what we're doing with the sheep. But people who are used to getting $2 a pound meat in the grocery store don't get it. And so I was watching some of that local pressure where people think farm direct means cheaper than Walmart.
Right.
And I was watching the employees just like graciously handle that without making anybody feel bad. And I was like, that's pretty cool, because I think when you start something like the food church, or you have something where you're connecting farmers with people, the other general public thing you're going to come up with is people don't understand how disconnected the grocery store pricing is from the cost of things, and how much better it is what you're getting, and that it costs more to produce. And so they just, like, all they know is their whole life they bought the cheapest one at the store. And that's a whole different habit to break.
Well, what people don't know is that they have never actually paid for food.
Yeah.
The food's never been paid for. So it's not that our stuff costs more to produce. That's absolutely a lie. The truth is that they've never paid the person who produced the food, really. Those people are in what we call modern day slavery, and they're never paid. They're forever in debt. And all the bank keeps doing is extending them out. And they're never making it work. Like, commodity meat is never really paid for, or produce for that matter. It's not really taken care of properly. It's subsidized by the government. Those people.
One of the ways they subsidize it is that you get crop insurance from the government. And if your crop doesn't make enough money, the government fills the gap, and that is paid for through tax dollars, right?
That's one way.
And that makes it so that they can continue to sell carrots or whatnot for insanely low prices compared to what a carrot I've put my heart into raising I would charge for. Actually, I don't successfully raise carrots, so we'll just scratch that example. But you know what I mean.
Right. Well, I can tell you that no one has actually ever paid for food in a grocery store. They've only paid for distribution, barely, and not even really for storage. Because there's distribution involved, there's storage involved, there's marketing, there's labor, there's the brick and mortar. And all of this is being funded by the medical complex, because this is a bigger conversation. Everyone wants only to talk about the food and not take into account the other centralized systems that are connected, like big banks, big ag, big medical, big, all of that is one machine.
The entire fascist machine.
Right. It is one big operation. It's one giant operation. And, you can't support one without the other. But I find it fascinating that, when I talk to people, and a lot of people don't like hearing what I'm saying because I'm talking against their core belief systems. And so they, a lot of people just think I'm really hard to understand. It's a matter of your consciousness, like what you're able to receive from what I'm saying, because I'm speaking out against everything that anybody's ever believed to be true for so long, so it's really hard to hear that everything that we've ever known to be true is actually not the way that you think it is. I mean, I don't know anybody who wants to go to the grocery, or who goes to the grocery store and buys food and pays what they're asking and does all the things. They're not going to very comfortably or reasonably want to accept that they've never paid for food. Like, they've never operated in a fair and just way. So I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is the way the system's set up that is what's happening. You just don't know that. And it would make sense for you to go directly to the producer and save money because you wouldn't have to pay for the storage and the distribution and all those things. But what's happening is that none of that is being taken into account. None of it is happening based on the reality of the soil. None of the food in the store is based on the reality of the soil.
And it's not as good.
Well, it's the reason that I wrote my book.
It's just not as good.
Because it's not real. And that's the reason why I wrote in my book, hashtag get out of the grocery store, because there's nothing real there. And, then everybody's like, oh, well, I wish I could do what you do, but I can't, and everyone wants to argue for their limitations, but because it's the fastest, easiest response to that,
Yeah, I really see that journey from the grocery store as a journey personally. And you may not, I don't know, but
I mean, it was a journey
like
for me.
when you homestead, right? If you start with your garden one year or with chickens one year, and then you add things every year, what happens is you develop your own SOP, your way that you operate every day. And it goes from, wow, it's really hard to keep this tiny little fluff ball alive, to that's just part of what I do every day. I walk by and I make sure everybody has food and water and whatnot. And every time I've added a different thing here, I've gone through this period of I'm losing my mind because there's this one extra thing. I think the transition from the grocery store is very similar, because necessarily you're going to be cooking more things from scratch. Now, you can simplify that. Like, if all you eat is steak, cooks real fast, guys, like does not take any time. You can defrost it and get it done, but a lot of people don't and are not ready to be in that kind of an eating situation. And so, just like with homesteading, when you start cooking more of your food from scratch, it starts getting easier and easier and easier, to where I can cook breakfast faster than most people. I just go in there, I cook breakfast. It's usually eggs and sausage, or eggs and bacon, or eggs, So it's not a lot of craziness going on, and I can have eggs cooked in like 2 to 3 minutes. It's done. That does not take more time than pouring cereal out of a box and putting milk on it. Or maybe it takes a minute more, but so much healthier for me. So much healthier for me. And it's just built into the habit of my life. And I've started thinking about how I can teach to develop that kind of habitual thing, because, like, if I want to go to a restaurant to eat, I have to drive 20 minutes. I have to think about what I want. I have to order. I have to wait for it to be cooked. Then I eat it, and then I drive home. And by the time I've calculated all of that waiting, it was just, quite frankly, easier if I wanted steak and a salad to make steak and a salad, because steak takes me 6 minutes to cook.
I love all these little comments in the chat.
Yeah.
Seeing really isn't believing. You have to see it in order to, believe it to see it. I believe that 100%. The only downside from cooking. So with this one, I don't have a lot of dishes, because I just use my cast iron, or I do a lot of one pot dishes, even if I'm doing keto stuff. And then the trees for the forest. This is great. I love it. You guys are just like, I feel like we're preaching to the choir a little bit, but it's true. Once you decide that you want to do a thing, it's not that hard. And I agree with you, Nicole. Like, first of all, this was a journey for me. I wrote my whole journey down. That's what the book is. It tells you the journey. Like, it was not a small thing. It was a big journey. It took time. So, I didn't arrive here, in a blink, although sometimes it kind of feels that way now. But
well, it just, to me, things that feel easy are not easy for other people. And I'm at that point where I need to remember that this is easy for me right now, but it was not easy 15 years ago.
Right. It wasn't easy. You know what's not easy? I'll tell you the things that we had to sacrifice, which I still am suffering with. Like, we had to give up our entire friend group or whatever. And it's really difficult to find people who are interested in just a home cooked meal. Like, they'll come over to my place for me to cook for them, but nobody wants to host ever. Mm-hmm. And I'm not trying to create a problem and make them host or anything like that. But I just mean, what I've learned is they don't know how to host, or they've not really done that, or something. And so I don't know. Those are the things that we feel like we're struggling with, is like, we want to have more. I feel like all of my friends are spread out across the country. Like, I don't have anybody really just local. We have folks locally that we love, but it's really difficult to just have like, hey, let's all get together and, and enjoy some time together. Anyway, you're right, though. Everything that we do, I've simplified it so much. It's so easy at this point. I don't even do steaks. I prefer chopsticks, honestly.
Yeah. And, hey, Ray Pierce says this: being on the road ruined restaurants for me. Yeah. I'll say I can cook better than 98% of restaurants out there. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I have always said that.
Everybody's coming to your house, according to Evan Dixon.
Come on over. Evan's actually supposed to be coming here closer to me, and I can't wait for them to come. And you guys,
you'll love them.
I know. Well, he came when I
Yeah.
first reached out to him. This is what I think is so incredible about Evan. I reached out to him and was like, "Hey, what's up?" And he just showed up. He just showed up from Charlotte. I'm in Raleigh
Yeah.
and he's in Charlotte.
Yeah.
He just showed up. So I was just like, "Oh my gosh, I love this. This is what we're talking about right here." He
Yeah.
just shows up. So anyway, yeah, like I think that that's what I've been talking about too. You're asking me what have I been up to here? We got all these new folks, and I'm
Yeah.
trying to help them understand. Like, stop trying to compare yourself to me. I've been doing this for 14 years. Like, like just get on board. Just get started. If the only thing you do is just try to, figure out how to get things from here every week and or from your farm friend or whatever,
Yeah.
then like somebody kept saying to me like, what's this going to be like? And I have people like that are texting me asking me about the food church. Is it going to be like this? Is it going to be like that? And finally I was like, listen to me. I can't tell you what it feels like to be in the pool. Or I could keep telling you what it feels like to be in the pool, but until you've never gotten into the pool, you don't know what it feels like actually. So just get in the pool. Just get in the pool so you know what it feels like.
Yeah.
So, and so I said that to somebody recently and they joined. And that's one of the smartest people that I've had, I feel, join in the last month or so, because when we're open, she shows up with her kids and just hangs out the
Yeah. Just
whole
watches
time.
what's happening. Yeah.
She just is here hanging out. What better way to learn? Like we're here, we're open, just be here. And if you're here, then you can like listen and, hang out and talk. So, and that's how she's figuring it out. She's listening to what other people are doing, learning from what other folks are doing, and
Yeah.
how they're asking us questions, what we're saying. So she's giving herself a rapid education, which I invite anyone, like if you are in the Raleigh area, you should join so you can figure it out. But like, it is a journey. It takes a minute. You're going to have to like come in and start learning how to think a different way. And like Rachel said, you have to believe it before you see it. I think it's more like you have to believe it before you want to take that action.
Mhm.
Really, that's really what it is, you can see anything or experience anything if you really want to, but you have to want to do it first, which means you have to have some belief in it. Isn't that how someone decides to come to SRF or go to the
Yeah,
holler or
totally.
something?
Like so we have a range of people who come, and I think you have this too, where it's like they see something is wrong. They
Mm-hmm.
think it has something to do with the food system, or with, in our case, it's going to be usually more like societal meltdown, right? They feel fear as a result of this because everybody wants to feed their kids and themselves. And
Right.
that is like the most visceral thing you can cut off. And then there's the self-defense angle on the SRF side. And they come because they're looking and they're still focused on why is it happening, who's doing it, like that whole aspect, which is part of the journey. And I encourage anybody on our network who has moved past that, when you run into somebody who's there, please don't make fun of them, because you're now going to keep them there longer.
Yeah.
Right? They just think you're a jerk. And
Right.
so you're actually raised, but if we can help lead them from that place of fear to a place of, okay, I acknowledge I cannot control all that. I see that it's there. I don't want to look at it. It's really ugly. I see that the ramifications of that could hurt me personally. What can I do? And start having a different conversation about what can I do. And I think you have that at the church too, at the food church. What can we do? Grocery stores are a terrible
Right.
part of the centralized system. What can I do? Well, I can start by learning how to, if I haven't been cooking any of my meals for the last 10 years, start with one meal a week and then do
Yes.
one meal a day. And the next
Yeah.
thing you know, you're going to be like,
Yeah.
wow, I cook better than every restaurant or takeout or reheat option I have. And suddenly you're like,
Yeah.
screw it. Like, I have a friend who didn't want to learn how to roll sushi once because he was like, this is the last thing left to me to go out to dinner is sushi. And if I learn how to
Yeah.
roll it, I'm going to discover mine is better than the restaurant and I'm not going to want to go out to sushi anymore. I was like,
100%.
okay, fair.
Yeah. Yeah. That is so true. Like some of my best members, my earliest members, they joined and they would only buy 1 pound of ground beef, 1 pack of eggs, 1 pack of butter. Like that's all they would buy every single week.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking to myself, like, what are they doing? Like they're just buying one thing. And I thought, that's so weird.
Yeah.
But then when I got to know them over time, I remember this one lady, she literally every single week for the whole year, all she bought was a pack of eggs, a ground beef pack, and butter. That was it every single week.
Yeah.
And it was a year later, and I said to her, I said, "Do you think you want to try some sausage today?" And she was just like, "I might be ready for that." And I
Yeah.
said, "Well," I said, "Can I just ask you what you do with this pound of eggs? I mean, like this pack of eggs and this pound of,
Yeah.
She said, Niti, I don't know how to cook. So I always just decided that I just was going to keep buying this until I learned how to do it really well."
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh," I said, "Well, you could have asked me. I could have helped you, like I could help you, um, like learn how to do something if you want to."
Thanks
And
for the
she
super chat, asterisk.
yeah,
Yeah. Sorry.
yeah. I just thought that, she goes, "Well, this year I thought I would order a produce box." I was like, I said, "Really?" And she goes, "I have never bought produce from the farm. And I just don't know what I'm going to do with this stuff that I don't know what it is."
Yeah.
I said, "Well, or you could buy bacon and or some chicken, or something else if you feel more comfortable with that." I said, "But if you want to know how to do something, just let me know and I'll help you."
Yeah.
I'm happy to teach you. And what I realized is, a lot of these people, a lot of folks just find it humiliating to just ask or just to admit that they
Yeah.
don't know how to
Yeah.
cook something as simple as an egg.
And
And I
that's
was
some,
like,
yeah. And there are lots of ways to cook eggs. So you might learn a new way, even if you do know how to cook eggs. If you ask, how do you cook
right.
your eggs? Right?
Yeah. I mean, well, after that conversation that day, she and I had many conversations. We talked out lots of different cooking styles and strategies. And by the time it was over with, they had been in our membership about 9 years, and then they moved.
Yeah.
But but before they left, they not only were cooking eggs and everything, but they were braising duck. They even raised their own hogs that we helped them.
Yeah.
They couldn't believe we would help them learn how to raise a hog. And we're like, if you want to know how to do something, we will help you figure it out, you know? And so they did. They raised hogs.
Yeah.
And then she said, now that we've raised them, we've learned that we don't want to raise our own hogs because we like too many different kinds of sausage, and we can't get that many kind of sausages if we take them to the processor. And
Yeah.
they were like, we don't know how to butcher them. So it's cheaper and easier, and we can go on vacation. And for her, she's like, it's cheaper for us to just pay whatever you're asking us for than ever to do it on our own. And we won't do that again. That's what
Yeah.
and I was like, I said, well, at least you know how to do it if you ever had to. She goes, well, yeah, now we know that we can do it if we need to.
Yeah. I'll tell you this. I butcher a lot of my animals. And in the last year, 12 months, aside from chickens, it was March a year ago that I did 4 pigs in one weekend. And I was like, we are not butchering anything here for a year except for chickens. And it's not that I can't, it's just that I want. So I've been paying processors to process my sheep, for example, and I've just found good ones. And I'm happy with that. But I know how. I've actually never done a sheep before, but I've done other ruminants. So
yeah. Well, I think it's just that you know how to do it one good time or whatever. You know what you're doing versus what they're doing. And you can appreciate what that is. And, it's all about the time and the whatever. So, yeah. I like what Evan's saying.
Well, there's another reason I'm going to show you. Hold on. Share screen. Boom. So that was ripped up to the dirt until this week. And it's being put back together now to be functional. You can tell it's under construction. Stuff like this has been going on in my house all year. There's no way if I can avoid processing big animals right now, I do, because there's nowhere to do it that's sanitary. So
that it looks incredible though.
Yeah, it's going to be great when it's done. That's actually a temporary island that's there that's until my cabinet maker friend can come. So, yeah.
Well, it looks like the bomb. That's what it looks like.
It'll be great once it's done. Yeah.
It's true. I think that these experiences that we're having, the learning that we're doing, I mean, we're all undergoing a rapid education. And you know what? That's what's supposed to be happening in this time. This is the, knowledge era where people are able to actually access and share knowledge, which is what we see happening, with all of these social media platforms and all of these things. And it's actually going to lead to, and this has been written already, that, this is going to lead to more individual sovereignty, more state sovereignty, which is happening because people are doing it. And people are finally
loud.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
That was my get ready for something alarm. But this is the time when people have finally realized that a new skill is more valuable than their degree, and they are just trying to collect all these new skills. And I think it's wonderful. And I really, really appreciate what you guys are doing at the Self-Reliance Festival as a side effect of that, because people are actually able to immerse themselves in, I don't think people even know what skills there are to learn.
Yeah, no, next time we do it, it's I have a big focus on, not on presentations, but on ongoing demonstrations of different things.
Oh.
That's what we're talking about now for fall, because there's just seeing it done makes a big difference. Somebody came with her spinning wheel and showed people how to spin this time. And I was like, we need more of that, where you can just wander around and see, this is how you patch a hole in your pants. I don't even know. I need to patch a hole in my pants, by the way. But
or hem a pair of pants, or fix the waist on a skirt.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Wow. Jason, what is he?
The best way to fight the government right now is not to need them. Absolutely.
I mean, this is what even Ronald Reagan said a million years ago. Everybody who's in the know knows that, this is not what is supposed to be happening. You do need to have some community organization.
Yeah.
And I think it's very helpful for us to have an organized state. And, organized in the sense that we can all communicate and, share information.
You mean state of being, not state border, right?
I don't mean the state, somebody
listening to this almost exploded when you said organized state. So I decided I'd clarify what you meant.
Yeah, I just mean, the communities need to be organized. And if we can do that all on a state level, and learn how to operate, the most powerful weapon that any of us have is our ability to share the knowledge and the communication, the words.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we've been trying to do all this time.
That's what we have been trying to do. And it's, what's interesting to me, that was the 5th one that we've done. And I've been doing events for years in advance of that. My chicken processing workshop pretty much sells out every time I launch it. And I have another one I'm launching. I'm actually waiting for the chickens to arrive before I put tickets on sale, so I know that we've made it through a day or two without problems, because I did order in chickens. I'm not doing the typical meat bird like leghorns. I'm doing a different breed this time.
Mm-hmm.
And that sells out every time. So there has been a driving desire, I think, to learn these things. And starting with chicken processing on the processing journey is a really easy place to start. It's a good place to start, or rabbit.
Right.
But every time we do an event, there's a different, I'm going to call it the zeitgeist, or the feeling of what people are motivated by. And it changes a little bit every time. So last fall, it was, I need to learn new skills. I need to learn new skills. So our tagline was master new skills. This time it's all about community. Find my tribe, find my tribe, find my tribe. It's like there's a whole bunch of little voices out there in our network saying, I need to find more people, find more people, find more people. And it'll be interesting to me to see. I don't even know what it's going to be in 6 months, but it'll probably be something different. Right?
Huh.
Yeah. I enjoy processing animals too. I don't like all parts of it, but like I like the feeling I get knowing it is the animal I raised for sure. It didn't get messed up at the butcher, and also I know how they were handled. So it's done. But so I don't know if you've seen that in the food church, but I think in 2020 it was like panic, oh my goodness, the system doesn't work. A lot of people saw that. I'm going to join the food church because I need a system that does work. And it's just going to solve all my problems. Well, it's like, okay, wait a minute. I have to do work now too.
Well, being responsible is the step one, is realizing that you need to take responsibility.
Yeah.
And I think that is the thing that a lot of people aren't very clear about. Like, what is the responsibility? What's the best responsible thing? I mean, one of the things I was just talking about with some folks here was, food, water, and shelter. Mm-hmm. Food, water, and shelter. Can you just manage that? Like just manage food, water, and shelter. And then, yes, of course, everybody's like involved with this economic piece of it. But I'm like, the world was supposed to end almost every 5 years that I'm aware of so far.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean,
the economic piece.
Remember the 20, when we just 2000,
Y2K.
Like 1999. Do you remember New Year's Eve, 1999?
Yeah, we were all expecting it.
Right. I mean, the world was going to end, the next day after that. Right. And it didn't. They were just like, oh, we thought New York was going to blow up. Like it was going to, like that's what. And there every couple of years, every 5 years, and even with if you
the Mayan calendar has ended, right?
Right. The calendar was supposed to end. The clocks were going to blow up, or I don't know. Time was supposed to be warped after that, or something. And like, but if you're following, like people bring it back to, okay, well, Niti, we also do care about the economics, and they talk about Catherine Austin Fitts and what's going on. I'm like, okay, well, this is what I know for sure is that we don't know if we're going to be trading fiat currency or cryptocurrency or gold and silver or beads and feathers. But I think that's really the only questionable thing that's in the air about what.
Yeah. Well, so next. I look at this when economies have crashed, like complete resets throughout history, what has happened next? Have they stayed crashed for all of eternity? And when we've had widespread world economic impact, has it stayed bad for the rest of eternity? And the answer is no, because unless we also all die, there are still humans here deciding how they are going to trade with each other. Tag says hello.
Tag, what's up?
Hey, everybody. So we, as to your point, we will find a way to trade. It may start with barter and go to something else if it got really bad. Yeah. But we already know that we have to operate in community with different people specializing to do the best that we can do. Right. We can lone wolf it for a time, but we do better when it's like, Nicole, you cook pretty well and can put out a lot of food for a lot of people. So why don't you do that while we help get the ingredients for the food, right? And sometimes we need you to come help us get the ingredients for the food out here. So you're, like we divide it up. That's what's happened around me here too. It's like we divide stuff
Yeah.
up here. It's just, and it just kind of, there was no big talk. It was
There
just
doesn't
like,
need to be such a big talk. It's
it was,
just that everybody needs to be open
yeah.
to receive and to listen to what someone else is
Jason
saying.
says he's going to be trading mason jars.
Well, people are
I think I know
trading
what's
them.
in those
shoot,
mason jars, Jason.
And what we know about Jason's mason jars is they're going to be disinfected. They will be clean.
They will be. Yeah, I can disinfect about any wound at this point.
Yeah, I think that this is an incredible time. I think the best thing is that people are realizing that they can create their own, path. And they didn't really have the confidence, I think, in the past to do something like that. I see more and more people
Yeah.
who are understanding that, knowledge is required and action is required. And really, that's all I keep telling everybody, too. I'm like, you can't just keep having a conversation about it or, waiting to see, or waiting for somebody else to do something. Like, you just need to start gaining knowledge. Because I think that's the other thing, though, Nicole. Like, the training for so long is after you get your degree, after you get your whatever, after you blah, 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 something, then you just work.
Yeah.
And that's just been a lie. Like, I think anybody who's lived long enough now knows that that's a lie. Like, you have to keep learning how to do something. And I think a lot of the older people, it was hard for them because they also did tell you, hey, if you don't get your education when you're 16, 17, 18, it's harder to learn things when you get older. They kind of put that in our head. And I think that's also a lie. I think that you can always learn something new. And those of us who've lived long enough and know, and maybe we do have to effort to learn if we were sitting in a classroom because we're kind of over that part of it. But I don't know any of us that aren't capable of learning as soon as we decide, hey, I want to learn how to do that. I want to figure that out. I want to, do this thing. So
yeah.
That's what I see. That's what I see. I see a lot of people trying to find the courage.
Well, there's also a notion that we retire and don't work until we die, right? At 65. And I look at how life really works, and some people retire at 40 because they can't work anymore, okay? Because they've been hurt or whatever. But the reality is, when I look at people who have retired at 65, they're still working because they don't want to be idle. So they're no longer working on the job, they're working on something else. Like, all of a sudden, I like to rebuild really old motors or something. And then in a homesteading capacity, you're actually working on the homestead still. You're just, the next generation's coming up and doing things that your body's not so well suited to anymore. And it's just part of the journey.
When you have the land and I think we're overlapping. Sorry.
No, we're good. It's okay. We just have a little delay sometimes.
I'm sorry. I was just saying that, once everybody's on the land, then, and that part is taken care of, then you can continuously do little bitty things to just keep pushing the needle and doing it at your own pace based on your age. But there's so much value the older you get, you still offer all the way to the end. And who knows when you're going to actually expire.
Yeah.
So, like, why would you just decide or let someone tell you that, 65 is the expiration date or whatever the number is that they put on? Those are bad words. I say turn that noise off and just know that you're not going to expire until it's time for you to expire. And frankly, I just feel like I'm going to keep moving, and it is my goal to be able to just keep moving and walking and whatever. And then one day I just don't wake up. And if that happens, you guys should just be like, oh, she lived the best life that she wanted, and it was all on her terms. And that's what it ought to be. There's no retirement really, like.
Yeah.
Right?
Rachel's right. Only 2 likes, guys. Come on. I see 30 of you out there.
I know. I'm sad that this wouldn't let me keep my stream going before
We'll
it.
try it again another time. So, Neethi, we're coming
Yeah.
up on an hour, and I'm kind of crazy booked this week, and I know you are too. So I'm respectful of your time, and I know we can have another great conversation in the future. So before we sign up off, like, what one or two things you want people to take away from this conversation, and how can they follow you and like learn more?
Yeah. Well, I actually have been really quiet for a while, and I'm working on that. I've had a lot going on with boots on the ground right here. But I intend to get back on YouTube and get back to making videos and stuff. So if you follow me there, that's probably the best thing right now. And I'll always put links in there where you can find me everywhere else. So that's probably the easiest thing to share right this minute. Otherwise, I'm also going to be doing a workshop at Rogue on Polyface this year in May. So
Yay!
I don't know if anybody's interested in coming out to Polyface May 12th weekend. But that Friday, while Joel's giving farm tours, I'll be doing a natural law workshop, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. So I would love to see who comes there. I'm partnered with Polyface, and so this is something that we're doing in partnership with each other.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm always going to be going to all the Rogue conferences. I think people think that I'm going to go to all of them, and I just might not be doing that.
They thought that about me too, and it like sometimes I'm already booked. It just doesn't always work out, right? So I do my best to get places on the regular.
Right. But Polyface is one of my partners. It's one of the places that you might find me most often.
Yeah.
Maybe just not always during an event time even. So, there's that. And I've really just been putting a lot of energy into fortifying the church here because we're growing, and I really don't have a lot of labor here, and my kids are growing up and they're getting ready to start their different ventures. So I feel as though I'm losing my friends, my labor. And so also, if anybody's interested in stewarding here in Raleigh at the food church, let me know. Because we're looking for folks.
All right. So that's Neethi the Pharmacist on YouTube and farmtoforkmeatriot.com.
Org.
Sorry, I do that wrong every time. Farmtoforkmeatriot.org if you want to follow her. I'm Nicole Sauce from Living Free in Tennessee. That's livingfreeintennessee.com. And my only thought is this, guys. Friendship is important. And what happens with really good friends is sometimes we get busy and we run off in a million directions. We don't talk for a while, and then we come back together and we do talk. If you're offended that somebody didn't talk to you for a while because they were busy or you were busy or mad at yourself, let all of that go. Just reach out to your friends and talk to them. I have friends who I didn't talk to for 10 years, and I called them and I'm like, I keep thinking about calling you. I keep not doing it because I'm embarrassed. I haven't talked to you. They're not mad. We're just glad to be reunited. And that's why I love Neethi, because she knows and she's not mad. And we talk. And so it was really great to have a catch-up call with you today, Neethi. Guys, don't forget to reach out to somebody you should have reached out to that you thought about last week, guys, if you're listening to this.
Thank you,
hope
Nicole.
you guys. Yeah.
I was just saying thank you.
Yeah, sure. Hope you guys have a great rest of the week. We'll be live tomorrow morning for Homestead Happenings, as long